Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Hey, how are you, man?
Man, alive, grinding, hustling, killing it. Making a statement, baby.
Heck yeah, man. It's good to see you again.
You too, you too. So I'm excited about the show. I said I got to do a little bits and pieces with Brandon's interview you did with him, and it was pretty honored to get opportunity to kind of hang out and visit. And I guess talking about a little bit me and about your program and what you do. So I'm all for it. That sounds great.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. So, so hey, let's just start off with how we met, right? So this is kind of a funny story, right? I think if my memory serves me correctly, I just know you were involved in a crazy jiu-jitsu battle at one of the Tulsa ATFs, right? Maybe with
Right.
Randy Olson. I could be wrong, but so
Yeah,
you were like a purple belt.
yeah. I'm not sure if that was with me. But like I said,
It may not have been Randy. It may not have been Randy, but you were in a crazy back and forth match, and you were a purple belt, and I was a purple belt, and I was seeing you out there, and that's kind of when I started charting you. And then I mentioned your name to somebody, and they're like, "That dude's such a badass kickboxer," and I was like, really? Tell me more. It was one of my coaches, Danny Dring, and he's like, man, I used to watch that guy fight on the WCL, and he's awesome. So like, I didn't even know about like your earlier career in martial arts, and I mean, it's basically kind of why you were on my list of people to hit up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Mr. Dream. That's it. I got to visit with him a few times, and we've known each other in the past. I remember I worked out at his gym a couple times back in the day with one of the fighters he was helping train. So yeah, every time I come to Arkansas, Little Rock, or Maumelle, I remember it's been years back, but we crossed paths a few times.
Yeah. So, like, when did you first get involved with? So you got involved with karate first, is that correct?
Yeah, so I started doing martial arts at pretty much basically out of the womb because that's how my parents met, was in old school martial art, the Goju-Ryu, a little Okinawa, old school martial art, and that's how my parents met. And after that, and my mom was pretty much a top-rated ranked fighter back in the early '80s, and so she traveled a lot. And my dad competed as well. He was good at fighting as well, and so I think they made her stop fighting with me in her belly. I think whenever she was like a month 6, I think, and they said, "Nope, you're done, no more." And my mom helped. She disguised it by wearing one of those old school body shields that were just zipped up really tight. And her instructor said, "Nope, you're done, no more. You can't hide it no more." And this is my mom. She loved fighting. I mean, that was just her thing. You would never thought that she would be that type of person when you meet her face to face. But like I said, she'll kick somebody up in the head in a heartbeat if you give her opportunity.
Well, and last time I saw your mom, so this is another thing I kind of read online, or like previously, that your mom had been involved with martial arts. Didn't know that about her, but I knew that she last time I saw her, she's like a jiu-jitsu blue belt, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's totally correct. So I was a student of her at one time, and now she's a student of mine now currently. So that's kind of weird how the world's changed. But she competed. I think she's a 7th dan or even a 9th dan. I'm not really positive, but both my parents, they're at that age, 64, I think is what they are. And like I said, now mom has found a new love for jiu-jitsu. And like I said, and she's wearing people out. I mean, and because I think the real cool thing about with her is that she's been involved in weight training as well, pretty much all her life. And so that's kind of, she goes weights training in the daytime and jiu-jitsu at night, pretty much every day. And every time anybody goes with her, they kind of find out, like, dang, this old lady is strong. And there's nobody ever in her age bracket. So she's got to go against girls younger than her son, me, like 30-year-olds, sometimes 20-year-olds. And she still works them over. And, when she gets on top, that's it. She ain't going to let you up, and she's just going to she's going to hopefully maybe pull off a choke or a Kimura topside or something, and try to twist that arm off. But other than that, she's just crazy strong. And sorry about that, I got phones.
You're good. Man, I could say these things about my wife, but not my mom, right? Like,
right. Oh man, I mean that's the cool thing about it is mom's still able to do this type of stuff, and she's got bad knees and this and that, and but with jiu-jitsu, you're able to kind of modify your ground game to where it kind of adapts to your entries, I guess you'd say. So she still pushes through things and overcomes things, and just loves jiu-jitsu now.
Man, that's awesome. And like, man, when I first saw her training, I think when I've charted that she was trained, she was like 60 or something, like 60 years old. And man, that's just inspiring to hear. Like, that's an awesome story.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Well, hey man, can you tell me a little bit? I know, like I've talked with you a little bit about this in passing, and like read a little bit about it. But can you tell me a little bit about your heritage and your parents' heritage?
Yeah. So pretty much, I come from a Native American background. I said I'm half Native American, half white man, I guess you'd say. And everybody's like, "Here's the last name Longacre." He goes, "Oh, you're Indian." I said, "Well, that's my dad's name." So that's not. So now my mom's side, her maiden name's Warrior. So that one is like, "Oh, how'd you get that name?" I said, "That's our family name, on the native side." And I said, "Well, we got that name for a reason, I'm assuming." And so I carried that bloodline name with me in combative sports all around. So besides doing martial arts, I wrestled through elementary, junior high, and high school. Martial arts pretty much was between sports. Growing up, I played ball I did everything at small school. Half the school was Native American, and half the school was half that Native American crowd was almost cousins. So I came from a small town, small community, but Native American community too, in Creek County here. And like I said, that's kind of how I got my start in doing everything. I went from kickboxing and started doing really well at kickboxing, full contact, or actually, I'm sorry, the point tournament fighting. I did really well at the point fighting tournaments, and then my instructor said, "Hey, you ever thought about trying full contact?" I said, "No, but it sounds fun," because I kind of hit people a little bit too hard sometimes in the point fighting tournaments too, a little bit, and sometimes I get in trouble. But yeah, so I found my groove in kickboxing, and I loved it because, there's no other feeling like it. Whenever you're walking out, the crowd and the music and the lights, and starting out, I think my first kickboxing fight was inside a rodeo arena on top of dirt, right, and the ring was set up right in the middle of the arena, and it was actually in my hometown. So you could have known that I had a lot of people, and like I said, a lot of people there, family and friends, and everybody wanted to hear, because everybody knew I already did stuff growing up, so everybody always was literally about messing with me. But I was never that guy in school either. I never pick fights. I was always that guy who stood up for the bully, or for the bullies, But I always had older cousins that took care of business for me all. So I didn't have to, come for that fighting lifestyle, as like I had to prove myself and all that. I was like, I said, "What'd you say?" I said, "Talk to my cousin, actually," and he got to handle the business. So but that's kind of how I got to start as in kickboxing, was coming from martial arts, doing really well in the karate system. And then, after I got one taste of that, I loved it, and then hit it pretty heavily.
So full contact is basically just no leg kicks. Is that the big thing about it?
That's correct. Yeah. So back then in Tulsa, they didn't do too much low kicks at all. Kickboxing, it was all waist up. And then slowly I started diving into, so now they do leg kicks on these shows. I was like, all right, I don't care, so let's get it. But my first leg kick fight, oh my gosh, that was another world. I remember that first time I got kicked in the leg, I was like, I don't want to be here no more. I said, I don't like this. let's figure out something else. I gotta knock this guy out because this hurts my legs. And so man, it made me appreciate and respect low kick after that, because I did fine with it. I still was able to use my my traditional stand up, with my hands and my side stands, kind of like the Wonder Boy ish type of style, and did really well at it. And then, but man, leg kick is a game changer, in receiving and giving. It's like it opened my eyes in the first of my career that I did not want. Hang on one second. I'm sorry about that.
You're good.
And something that I did not want to be a part of, but I was like, man, I got to learn this, because this could definitely change the level in a fight really quick, And so back then we didn't do much, but then I started getting involved in more of those fights, because once I started getting the Tulsa circuit, that's all I did was adding low kicks and knees. And then you almost had sometimes with the promoters and stuff, it's like, are you okay with low kicks? I said, yeah. And so it was kind of gradual like that. All right, so we went from waist up, and then, all right, we're doing low kicks, okay? All right, now this next one, we're doing knees. I said, okay. So it was kind of gradual like that. And after that, then it pretty much stayed with, working on low kicks and knees and stuff like that here and around the Tulsa, Oklahoma market.
Yeah, I think the first time that I came to fights in Oklahoma was around like 2009 or something. But you guys allow amateurs to knee each other in the face over there. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's pretty intense, and like I said, Oklahoma or Tulsa is pretty much known for having well, I don't know so much now, but now back in the day, they're having some tough suckers that could fight. Back in the day. So
yeah. So at what point in your career did you pick up your nickname? What's the story behind that?
So the first nickname I got here in Tulsa was given to me from Del Apollo Cook. He called me Billy Jack. At first, I had no idea who this Billy Jack was. I was like, Billy Jack? What was I got to have a fight name called Billy Jack for, man? That ain't cool. And then I asked my dad about it. He goes, no, I said, that was an old Western karate show that this guy was a half-breed Indian and white guy, and he beat everybody. It's like an old almost like a Clint Eastwood, David Carradine kind of cowboy series called Billy Jack. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't watch it. And he goes, no, I mean, when he was ready to fight, he pulled his shoes off, and he goes, I'm going to put this foot upside your head, and there's nothing you can do about it. That was kind of his main thing. And I was like, oh, okay. But I was like, I still don't like it. So I fought with that for about a couple of fights. And then finally, after he knew, it's like, I didn't dig it. He goes, all right, how about Thunderkick? I was like, that's a little bit more like it, because it kind of got a little native twist to it. And cracking and kicking. I said, yeah, let's do it. So that's kind of how that started. Now it's probably fight number 7 or 8, my pro career, that we finally transitioned to Thunderkick.
So you've had like 12 televised kickboxing appearances. Is that correct?
Well, locally, pretty much, man, I would say after my 5th pro fight on, most of those was televised here on the local in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on local television. And then still the opportunity of toward the end of that is that's whenever fighting on the Versus channel, the ShowTime, before there was Spike TV, it was the Versus channel. And so we fought on that periodically, about every 5 weeks on a season, and then ShowTime. And then I think that was it. That's nationwide.
Yeah, I remember that Versus channel, man. That was we were watching on the podcast the other day, like an old fight that took place on the IFL. But I want to say the original time we watched it, I think, was on Versus, right? Like back in
Versus channel. Yeah, so the WCL and the WEC was big on that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if Strike Force was Versus or not. Strike Force might have been on.
Well, that may have been it was on ShowTime at one point, I know, right?
Yeah. So I know it was on ShowTime for sure, but I didn't know if Versus showed it or not. But yeah, I can't remember. It feels like it's been forever. It feels like, and it feels like Versus was forever ago too. But I guess 8 years maybe.
Yeah, 6, in the neighborhood.
8 or 10 years ago. The Versus channel kind of came about.
Yeah. So when did you find, so like I got to knowing who Apollo Cook was by watching the documentary Choke. And then later on in life, I had some fighters on his card, and one of my guys won. And it was a real exciting, popular fight of the night. And he like came over and gave me a hug and thanked me, and I was just like, "Oh man, Apollo Cook just gave me a hug, guys!" And like everybody's like, "Who's this dude?" Like that I know. I might tell my friends about it or whatever. But when did you first meet him and get involved with him?
Well, pretty much, I had a friend of mine, Jack Rogers, back in the day, that I was getting ready for a fight, and helping him get ready for a fight. And I remember calling Apollo's Karate and say, "Hey, I got a fighter who's ready, and this and that wants to get on one of your fight shows." And I left the voicemail and I left my name. And then Dale Cook ended up calling me back and saying, "Hey, I hear you're interested in having one of your guys on." I said, "But aren't you Tiny and Leon's boy?" And that's kind of what my mom was known in the karate circuit, was Tiny. And that's and he knew my dad Leon from the martial art karate tournament days and this and that. I think my dad even cornered him on one of his kickboxing fights years and years back before he went famous, kind of thing, kickboxing. So he knew of my family and knew of my mom and all that. He goes, "Hey, I heard you're pretty good too." I was like, "Well, I'm not bad, you know." I was like, I can handle my own." He goes, "Hey, what about getting you involved too, along with your friend Jack?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it," you know. And that was kind of the beginning of how that relationship kicked off. So I should have fight for a show for him. My very first big Tulsa fight at the Greenwood Culture Center on TV, it was like one or a small local channel, and I had everybody in the crowd there. At that time, I was hauling drywall and sheetrock, you know, all through the day. So I was carrying sheetrock pretty much all day, basically, and then going to training at night. And so I remember we going from work and going to weigh-ins and going right to fight night. And I had all my friends and family there, and fighting this guy out of St. Louis, Missouri. I can't even remember his name, but I just remember this guy was like a foot taller and about 20 pounds bigger. He reminded me of that Russian guy from freaking Rocky IV, Ivan Drago. And this guy looked just like him. I mean, felt like him. He was a lot more fair skinned, like he was a little more white. He had white haired, blonde. And I don't know, but man, I was like, "Oh my gosh." I said, "This guy is going to be a beast." But I was still confident in my skills too, coming from a karate standpoint. I was like, "I'm gonna work this guy over. I'm gonna stick and move, and catch him." And because I was just coming off a couple of knockouts too, and it's my 5th pro fight. I was like, "All right, shoot, I feel good." So boom, ding, ding, first round. I'm working him, you know, bouncing around like Sugar Ray Leonard with a side stand, stick and move. He would hit me with stuff. I was kind of rolling and stepping aside, circling out, looking good, stick and move. And then I hear the 10-second count, like when they hit on the edge of the cage, you know, like tick, tick, tick. You know, it's like 10 seconds. I was like, "All right, I'm gonna finish with a flurry." I end up throwing a good flurry, and then I come out of the flurry and circle out with my hand down. And this guy throws one of those hooks out of nowhere, and then catches me, puts me to sleep with my eyes open. My arms are stiff in the air, like sticking straight up in the air, and my eyes are open, and I have that blank stare, you know, that goes on. And anyway, you could hear a pin drop in that crowd because of the talk about it. And then Dale Cook was promoting me and marketing me up on the mic with the announcer, because he was doing like side tables, you know, commentating and all that on his show. Like, "Hey, he's gonna be my diamond in the rough for these Indian casinos, blah blah blah, and this and that. He comes from the streets of Sepulveda, Oklahoma, blah blah." And then right there at the very end of the first round, I get clipped, put to sleep, eyes open, stiff as a rail, arms stuck in the air. And then moments later, like I don't know when, I wake up in the locker room, and I wake up and they're taking my gloves off, and I wake up and I go, "Hey," I said, "What are you doing?" Because you just wake up, you wake up from a sleep out of nowhere, just boom. a light switch comes on. You're like, hey, what are you doing? I told him. That was Jack, actually. I said, hey, what are you doing? I said, take your gloves off, man. I said, what are you talking about? I said, man, he just caught you. I said, caught me? I said, what are you saying? I said, man, he just caught you on the chin. He knocked you out. I was like, what? So it was one of those things. It's just 10 minutes later, probably this has happened. And I wake up, taking my gloves off in the locker room. My dad comes back, kind of comes in and checks him. Hey, just checking, you all right? I was like, yeah. He goes, how'd your chin? I was like, I'm moving around. Like, it's fine. It's okay. I just checked on. He kind of patted me and walked back out. But yeah, that was one of those moments there that I was in the gym Monday. I was like, nothing computed because you don't remember fighting. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember walking out. I don't remember. Watching the video later, because back in the day they had it on VHS tapes where you get to watch the full thing where they set me up, they talk to me. I look like I'm responding, but my eyes are kind of blinking really slow. I'm looking left to right, kind of real slow, like in a daze. They stand me up. They give me they stand me up. I walk out of the ropes of the ring. I walk out. They kind of like help me. Not carry me, but they kind of like I don't know, stumbling back. They kind of hold my arm, and yeah, and then I don't remember none of that. So I guess it's kind of good. I guess I don't remember getting hit, but that's the crazy thing about when you get knocked out. I don't remember getting hit. It didn't hurt. I didn't feel it. I don't remember it. You just wake up, and then the emotional thing sets in. There was like, oh, all these people were here. Oh, my family, my friends, my coworkers, and that's whenever it's like, you feel like the biggest letdown in the world, and that's the thing. It doesn't hurt me so bad when I lose, but it hurts me because of the people I brought to the table, my friends, my family, my team, the thousands of fans that came to watch or whatever kind of thing like that. That's the part that hurts bad. And then you got to explain, hey, how'd your fight go? How'd your fight go? How'd your fight go? The hundreds of people that asked. And back then, social media wasn't happening. So, as a social, you could imagine, hey, how'd that fight go? How'd that fight go? I was like, man, but verbally having to tell people face to face, man, that was tough, because it's like, but I was in the gym the next Monday, and I was like, I'm not going to let that ever happen again. And that was the only time I've ever been knocked out, was that my fifth pro fight.
Did you experience any, you probably got a concussion. Did you have any issues with losing time later? Did you reactivate a concussion in sparring or anything on down the road?
No. So down the road probably was maybe 10 years down the road. I ended up getting in a bunch of good wars then. And I think, it was one of these Tulsa fights, one of these World Combat League fights to where I took a beating but kept on ticking kind of thing, where I was bloody like crazy and swelled up and this and that and just got at it. But I remember that night, the next day, I was just vomiting a lot. I couldn't figure out if it was from the after party or if it was just because I had a concussion. But that's the first time that I ever felt that nausea. Like I gotta go throw up. It's like I gotta go throw up. In my boxing match, I had a boxing match to where I had my eardrum ruptured. Ooh. In a boxing match. And I'm deaf in one ear already from a childhood, playing in a rock pile and all that when I was probably like 6 or 7. So I've been deaf in my left ear since I was 7. And anyway, I ended up rupturing my good ear in my boxing match from a hook. And I ended up going about 90% deaf for about 3 or 4 weeks from a boxing match, which that almost put the nail in the coffin. I was like, man, I don't know about this. I was like, I'm done, because you appreciate how much your senses, especially when it has you hearing, So that put a big stamp on it. Like, man, I might take a break for a while, or I might be done, because I didn't know how much I used my good ear. And like I said, being 90% deaf, where I had to read lips. I mean, I was already kind of good at it anyway because I had to do it anyway. But sometimes people would ask me stuff, and I'll say, "Yeah," and I was like, "I didn't ask you the question." I was like, sometimes that's my automatic response. Sometimes, but it was really tough for a few weeks because I was having to read lips. And I said, "You got to say it a little louder, man." So that was a scary point in the career too. You know, besides the nausea from getting knocked out, or not knocked out, from just getting dazed and confused from later in the career, and then having that happen again, you know, with the ruptured eardrum. Thank God that's only happened one time. But there again, you got sparring sessions after that. It can easily happen again. But luckily enough, knock on wood, I haven't had an issue since then. That was probably about 10 years ago. No, that's probably about 7 years ago on the ruptured eardrum. So I haven't had nothing since then, thank God.
That's good. Man, okay, so kind of funny question. What's it like fighting uphill and downhill? Like those WCL fights are like in that dome, right?
Yeah, so that was kind of like the old school, kind of like in the day they had that movie Bloodsport, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a little bit of how they kind of come about this a little bit. Well, Chuck Norris had a thing. He already had an idea of doing this. Like it was like 20 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago, where he did a team fighting thing. So this has always kind of been where this was weird because I liked it because there was no ropes, there was no cage. Everybody can see everything really well, but they penalize you for stalling. They penalize you for not fighting. Let's see. That's really about it. You know, they penalize it. They stop you. All right, point to this guy and go for stalling or being passive.
You're kind of freezing up a little bit, man. Can you hear me?
Or whatever like that. So they took points away, encouraged you to get. So when your team wins, you get paid this amount. You already get paid already, but if your team wins, you get paid more. You get a knockout, you get paid more. So, but when you was doing that every 5 weeks, we fought in that World Combat League, and you know, through a season, that's all I did was fight, and didn't have to work or do nothing. You know, and that was pretty amazing. But every 5 weeks, I fought at 147. I fought at 164 at the beginning of the season, and then that's when I got a friend of mine on the team, Anthony Jaquani, and got him on and took my place because I said, "Hey, let's put in Anthony on the team because he's legit at 64," and said I can drop down to 147. And so that's when I got really good at weight cutting because I did it every 5 weeks. So I got it dialed in. I knew exactly how long on the treadmill. I knew exactly how long I needed to jump rope. I knew exactly how long it took me to eat and all that, and had it dialed in. But the tough thing about it, the bow part, the rim that kind of elevated up a little bit, that was a tough part. If you was a guy that's backing up a lot, if you step back uphill, you go down automatic because you're not used to that. Yeah. But let's say if I punch you and you step back and you hit it and you fell down, they're gonna give me a knockout or knockdown points. So the reason why they wanted you to come forward and fight, so they keep that from happening. So I was like, I might take one step back with a circle, but more like swinging, kicking, and fighters, because in the beginning stages, I was like the only one that left it all on the line, and he loved to see that. He loved. I put butts in the seats because of that. I was just like, hey, I'm gonna go out on my shield. You know, I'm gonna put you on, or I'm gonna go out on myself. You know, because that's what the fans like. But the thing is, that was my mentality of fighting too, where it's like, hey, I want to get it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try to knock you out. I'm gonna try to take your head off. You know, if you catch me, oh well, that's the only way you're gonna beat me if you catch me. So that was kind of my mentality.
That would have been the Thomas Longacre that Danny Dring vividly remembers and talks about.
Yeah. So I was a little mean when I fought, but Doc said everybody's got to have a switch that goes on when you fight. You got to. If you don't have a switch, you don't need to be fighting.
For sure. Well, hey man, I know you got an appointment to get to here in a few minutes. But man, I really appreciate you once again taking the time to come on the show. It's awesome talking to you, and hopefully we'll be seeing you again at a jiu-jitsu tournament or something here pretty soon. Oh, you there?
Yeah, like I said, as long as my body holds up a little bit, and that's another, and it's been great. But black, the road to black. I've been around for about a year and a half to 2 years probably. But I didn't want to be one of those guys that are going to be grandfathered in. I didn't want to be guys that get handed a belt. I want to be a legit brown where people respect it and people on this. I want people to say, you know what, he's ready for his black. I want to be that guy. That's one thing around here, around the Tulsa market. I don't like it so much because why is this guy getting a black belt? Why is this guy getting this, one getting that? Hey, just because you help paint a school, that doesn't mean you get a black belt. I'm old school, where you only get it if you deserve it because the time to put in, and also on the application of the art, as in I want to see you grab, I want to see you roll. If you're this belt, let's check it out. Let's compete. Competing is the best thing I think to see where you're at, to see if you're retaining, to see if you're how you can manipulate the real scenario, as in the butterflies and this and that. How do you react on the fly? How do you react when somebody's going after you and trying to beat you? Gym guys are great, but you really get tested in competition. You really get to see where you're at in competition, because you get to see if the curriculum and style that you've been doing is really, I guess, moving forward, and as you're really capitalizing on it. Like I said, I want to be a guy. Like I said, I've been on a knee injury now for about a year and a half, off and on, and it's really tough because my instructor Brandon Quick, he was like, "Hey man, let's get that black. Hey, let's get that black." I said, "Man, I'm having trouble, with my knees right now, with just one knee, really, one knee, man." I said, "Man," I said, "I don't know." I said, "I can't train right now." I said, "I've had this thing pop out twice." I got 2 little girls, man. So I got a 4 and 2-year-old. So my goal in life isn't to be black. My goal in life is to be an amazing father and to be an amazing husband, where I want to play with these girls. And I said, jiu-jitsu is great, but it's not life to me. It's not what drives me, kind of thing. If I get a black belt along the way, I'm gonna be a legit black. And I said, but at the same time, with the black belt world, as I said, man, it's not a huge big thing today. I know I'm getting off on this little spell, but man, I said, jiu-jitsu is great and all. I love it. But, man, I said, when family first and me being able to put food on the plate, and I got to have my legs to do that. That's what daddies do. Man, jiu-jitsu ain't a big deal no more. I said, it's great and all, but that's not what pays the bills. That's not what takes care of my family. That's not where I can take care of my family if I needed to in a real life scenario, whichever, so I want to be able to do that. And like I said, my goal is to get black, yes, but I got other priorities in line before that too.
Well, man, I'm sure you'll get there.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, man. I will. I'll get there.
Yeah, we'll stay after it, brother. I really appreciate you again, Thomas.
Hey, you're very welcome, man. It was amazing being on. Truly an honor. Like I said, I'll definitely do this again soon.
Okay, man. Have a great day.
All right, see you, brother.
See ya.
Bye.